Good evening, everybody. We are going to call the Common Council to order, and I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Rote.
Here.
Stefanski.
Here.
Tenorio.
Here.
Vitale.
Here.
Weigel.
Here.
Grisham.
Here.
Haas.
Here.
Keen.
She is excused.
Lysick.
Here.
Ranke.
Here.
9 present, 1 excused.
We have a quorum. We are going to have a amendment, I would say, by Alderman Rote has invited Troop 580 from Mount Hope Lutheran Church, and they are going to clear the doorway and present the colors, and then we will do the Pledge of Allegiance. So please rise.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We will now move on to item D on the agenda's public hearings. We have 2 this evening, and I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 1.
Resolution relative to the determination for a condition use permit for Urban Pioneer, a proposed multifamily dwelling to be located at 8001 West National Avenue and 80 Star West National Avenue.
Thank you. Mr. Scher?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Common Council members. The first item here is for the Urban Pioneer. This is a multifamily or condominium project proposed at 80th and National Avenue. It consists of 2 lots, a combined total of just shy of 1 acre of land. You can see it just south of National Avenue, north of the Union Pacific Railroad, and between 80th and 82nd Street. This is the former 2 parts, the former Happy Hobby site as well, which unfortunately demised to a fire back in 2012 on New Year's Eve, and then Piramax Bank, which is currently on the corner of 80th and National. The site has been empty for a number of years, and the Happy Hobby site, that is, and Piramax Bank is no longer in business. So the site is on the market for sale. We have a developer, TOD LLC, who is interested in redeveloping this for a multi-unit dwelling. It's 43 condominium units consisting of just shy of 1 acre. The form of the building is seen in the upper right-hand corner, and then sites A and B on the lower site plan would be occupied by this development. It would be combined via certified survey map to combine those 2 lots into 1 lot of record. And the zoning is C2, neighborhood commercial. And in our zoning ordinance, within that C2 neighborhood commercial zoning district, dwelling units of 5 or more units are considered conditional uses, which means it requires a public hearing before the Common Council because of the significance of the change to the neighborhood and to the alterations to the site. The estimated cost is roughly about $17 million. This would be a taxable development, privately owned and developed. And again, consisting of that 43 condominium units, would consist of 8 ground floor townhomes, 23 condominiums on floors above that, and then 12 micro units, which are roughly in the neighborhood of 500 square feet in area. There would be underground parking underneath the building, as well as surface parking behind the building. And then the 8 ground floor townhomes would have attached garage units accessible from the back side of the building. Just a view of the site showing the surface parking lots behind the building. The railroad is to the bottom of this site plan, National Avenue being towards the top. So as you can see from the site plan, the building does hug the street edge, fronting on National Avenue and 80th Street, with parking behind the building. There would be patios for those walkout townhomes on the front side of National Avenue side facing portion of the building. The surface parking behind the building would feature not only a landscaped area but rain garden, so that surface water from that parking lot would be kept on site, drained on site, instead of sped off to Lake Michigan in a catch basin. The access to the underground parking is here on the lower right side of the building. And in terms of parking requirements, 53 parking stalls in total will be provided on this site, again consisting of about 37 parking stalls on the surface, underground, and then the balance being either an attached garage or surface parking. Our new code considers maximum parking requirements. In our old code, we looked at things in terms of requiring at least a minimum number of parking stalls. So in our old code, we would require about 63 parking stalls for this type of development. Within our new zoning code, it encourages maximum and requires maximum parking lots, so up to 86 parking stalls are allowed for this type of development, and that's at 2 parking stalls, a maximum of 2 parking stalls per dwelling unit. So this site being proposing 53 parking stalls is under that 86 stall maximum. The building in total is just over 80,000 square feet, and at the highest point, which would be that tower on National Avenue, is about 77.5 feet tall. The architecture of the building is inspired by the old schoolhouse on 84th and National Avenue, which is now currently our historical society. And again, the building being fronting on 2 street frontages is activating the street front of not only National Avenue but 80th Street as well, which is follows the best practice in urban design in terms of its interaction with people not only walking along the sidewalk, but also the impression you get as you're passing by in a vehicle. And then it will feature unique design features, as mentioned, with the tower feature and a stained glass upper element within that. And then the lower patio portions of the building, you can see, are maybe reminiscent of some older industrial buildings in the city, older shop windows with the different color tints to some of the glass panels within the building. That lower floor is roughly about 15 feet, actually a little bit taller than 15 feet tall, but it does feature 2 floors. So if you do happen to purchase a townhome unit on this lower level, you actually are purchasing, your ground floor, first floor, as well as a second floor loft up above. And we'll get into the floor plan in a second. Just going around the building, the front of the building facing National Avenue, this is what we're looking at. A different blend of materials with a cementitious wood look siding, and then moving on to a cementitious hardy plank siding on the other elements in different varieties of color. There would be a smooth finish concrete precast finish on the lower 2 floors of the building. And then just wrapping around the back side of the building, you see the balconies are continuing around the back side of the building, and then those attached garage units to the 8 townhomes down below, and access to the underground parking here. The side elevations, the east and west, east side facing 80th Street, the Heritage, across the street from that is the Heritage Senior Community. That was what this would look like from that vantage point. And then from the east, from the side to the east where the Flower Girl is located, if you were looking eastward, you would see this elevation of the building. And then just sort of a palette of different exterior materials in the building. The architect's trying to evoke an industrial look, again with the window types and so on, the tower feature reminiscent of the old school. So it does have a historic flair, not only in terms of industrial, but also some of the historic features of the neighborhood. And then with the wood or cementitious wood-looking siding, does introduce some warmer elements and colors to the exterior of the building in its form. The range of unit types are going to range between the townhome units, and you can see the numbers on the far left-hand side column. The type of unit here, townhome with garage, a micro condo unit, that's that 500 square foot smaller condo unit, and then you get into the different range of different condos, 4 different types, A through D. And then the unit mix is roughly about 17 two-bedrooms, 5 one-bedrooms, 21 efficiencies, and ultimately totaling the 43 units. And then the main floor and second floor will have common area amenities, including a fitness area, indoor bike parking, a lobby area, and so on, just for gatherings. There will be an elevator as well, servicing all floors. And then on the just sort of an example of some of the floor plans, on the first and second floors here, again, the ground floor walk-in townhome unit accessible from your attached garage space or from National Avenue or from the lobby area on the northeast side of the building. And then if you go up to the second floor loft of your condo, you'll have an open view to the floor below. Up on the 5th floor, on the uppermost floor, there would be a rooftop deck, and the property is, a developer is also considering solar panels, a solar array on the rooftop of the building with some skylights and some other sustainable features, again, to sort of, as an amenity and attraction to induce rental and, purchasing of the units in this market. So Planning Commission has recommended approval on April 27th. And Class 2 notice has been published in the official paper as well as mailed to properties within 200 feet. I guess I'll open it up for questions at this point, and thank you.
Thanks for the presentation, Mr. Scher. Are there any questions from the Comment Council on this item?
Mayor Devine.
Alderman Weigel.
Steve, so this would be, unless there be substantial changes to this proposal, this is the only public hearing on this project? Okay.
That's correct.
It's my understanding they don't control the property yet, but they're looking forward to making some acquisitions in the coming months. Okay.
Yeah, there's still a few things that need to come together in terms of, exactly that, combining the properties, acquisition, combining the properties, and then potentially some financing mechanism.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? Alderman Rote.
Steve, I may have missed it, but I know there's 8 attached townhouse garages. Is there underground parking, or is everybody else on the surface?
There's a combination. So there's attached for the townhomes, but then there's also 37 underground parking stalls.
And I missed that.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
I should have included a cross section, but there's a ramp down to the lower level. Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? Seeing none, are there any questions on public hearing number 1 from the members of the audience? Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Kevin McFadden. I am the owner of the building 2 doors to the west of this proposed project. I'm also a multiple property owner in the city of West Allis. Lived here for 60 years and 35 years on the east end. I just wanted to express my opinion on this. First of all, I'd like to say that I'm pro-development in the area. It needs it. I'd really like to see it, but I want to tell you of my history with this company. It's a bad company. They're disingenuous. They put my property in jeopardy. They originally tried to buy the whole street. And if anyone knows of the property of the small gas station that lies in between us, it's a very, very difficult. I bought my building from the owner, from Mel, and he's very hard. He's a very nice person, but he doesn't associate well with people. And I've been trying to purchase that property and get that. It's been vacant since 1969. I'll leave it at that. But anyways, they got involved in trying to purchase this whole land and found out the only way they were going to make a deal on that was if I approached Mel and made the deal. So I met him at his house, had dinner with him, proposed this. The deal went bad, as some do with developments. Nobody was too upset about it. And they came back again and proposed it again. So I went back and we made the deal. And in fact, they asked me to vacate my property, that they didn't want anyone in there before they would close it. So I did. I moved some tenants to other buildings I owned down the street and left the building vacant for a significant amount of time. Then all of a sudden, they get this big shark attorney, and he starts going behind my back to Mel, which Mel did not appreciate, causing a lot of problems in my personal life and relationship with him. But when it comes down to the dollars, in the end, they backed out of the deal, costing me nearly $90,000 in deferred maintenance and lost rent, and of which, I mean, in order to get it back going, you have to spend the money and get it back. I ask that you reject this, not just on my opinion. I do not think that they're good businessmen. I do not think that they run a good business. I think that they're very disingenuous, and I really don't want them as neighbors. Thank you.
Thanks for comments. Any other questions or comments from the audience on public hearing number 1?
Hello. My question is, for the surface lot, does that account for visitor parking as well, or is that just resident parking?
That's a comment. It could be. It's primarily for the residents of the property, but it would be up to the property owner how they want to, if they want to share that parking with, say, perhaps the public for a nearby restaurant.
Is National Avenue in that area designated for street parking?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Sorry, can we get your name and address too?
Brennan Kroon, 1113 South 95th Street.
Thank you. Anybody else with questions or comments on public hearing number 1? Okay, seeing none, then we will close our first public hearing, and I will ask the clerk to read public hearing number 2.
Resolution relative to the determination for a conditional use permit for Taco John's, a proposed restaurant with accessory drive-through service to be located on a new lot to be created east of 6767 West Greenfield Avenue.
Thank you. Mr. Chair?
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. Tri-City Bank is located at 6767 West Greenfield Avenue, and as part of their property, they have this highlighted in blue surplus chunk of parking lot. And they came to the city to propose developing that, to separate it via certified survey map, legally create a new lot, and then develop via ground lease a Taco John's on that site. The property is zone C3. Restaurants with drive-throughs are restaurants over 2,000 square feet, and if you have a drive-through, are considered special or conditional uses per our zoning ordinance. And they will be preparing, or they have prepared a certified survey map, which is also on tonight's agenda and will be considered at safety and development. So the bank has been around since the 1990s. Then they've identified this lot east of them as surplus land. They'd like to lease it to Taco John's, who is a Tex-Mex or West-Mex chain of restaurants with about 400 locations in the States, and they have 2 stores opening in the area. There's 10 additional locations in southeastern Wisconsin in the next 3 to 4 years. So they picked West Allis as one of their first. So the project cost is roughly about $1.3 million, and it's about a 2,500 square foot building. This is the site layout. Greenfield Avenue is in the very top of your screen here. And then what surrounds this are parking lots. You have the Pick and Save to the south and Tri-City to the west. These are just private drives that wrap around the new lot that would be created. There will be 2 internal access points to Taco John's. So in other words, there will be no new access points into the site along Greenfield Avenue here. There's an existing one here and one here. And access into the Taco John's site would be here on the south end of the site to a double-stack drive-through lane, and then here on the west side, which would primarily be, it wouldn't prevent entrance, but primarily most likely be used for exiting. And then there would be a surface parking lot with roughly about 20 parking stalls. The site would feature an outdoor patio, small outdoor patio for number of tables and chairs, and then the drive-through window is on the north side of the building. The site will be landscaped. A number of the trees on the site will be maintained. However, there are some that will go away. The ones along Greenfield Avenue are kind of on their last leg. Those trees will be removed and replaced with new honey locust trees. And then underneath those trees and in between those trees will be perennial landscaping, which will wrap around the drive-through area to create a little bit of height and screening to the drive-through area and maintain that nicely landscaped street edge along this site. There is a certain amount of other lawn area and landscaping around the rest of the property. I believe it's somewhere in the neighborhood of 30% landscaping. And then the building, this is the example of the architecture of the building. It features a cementitious smart siding, LP smart siding in the exterior of the building. And Planning Commission, one of the recommendations of the Planning Commission was to increase the amount of brick on the exterior of the building, which was added and shown here. Roughly about 7 to 8 feet of brick along the drive-through area. And then you have this panel separating the back of house portion of the building from the front of house building where the public comes in. And then this is more brick in the dark gray, sort of wrapping around the exterior 4 sides of the building. There are a number of windows in the exterior of the building as well, certainly allow natural light in, and it will feature a little bit of a different branding color of reds on the exterior of the building. And just another view of the exterior. The interior floor plan, the blue area in the front is the dining room, public space, and then the service counter behind that, drive-through window on the north side of the building, and then kitchen, back of house on the east side. And then the orange area is the accessible restroom area. And so Plan Commission has recommended approval in May, and a Class 2 notice has been published, and property owners within 200 feet have been notified. To date, have received no objections. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the Common Council on public hearing number 2?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Weigel.
Steve, I saw a patio, exterior, there's like 3 exterior tables?
Yeah, and we can get some more details, but I mean, it appears to be about 4 exterior tables with 4 seats per table.
And what side of the building is that? Is that the west side?
It would be on the west side.
West side?
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And I don't see the bike racks?
The bike racks are on site. Let me see if I can find them on the site plan here, but it was noted on, I think, right here, Marty, right in this location here.
So how close to the front door are those? That's one of my pet peeves is when I go somewhere on a bike and the bike rack's on the back by the dumpsters or something, you know?
All the parking stalls are about 9 feet wide, so 27 feet.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council? All right. Then are there any questions from the members of the audience?
Hello. Do we know the hours of operation, what time they open, what time they close, late night, that type of thing?
Sure. And yeah, I didn't cover that. I'm sorry. Let me just take a quick look. I've got the resolution here. The hours of operation will be from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. daily.
Got it.
Thank you. We know Casey. We don't need his name. Any other questions on public hearing number 2? All right, then we will close public hearing number 2. And if there is no objection from the council, I'd like to go out of order briefly and do my mayor's report first. And under events attended, because Benno's, I go there, I'm going to ask Marty and Susie to come up. I thought you saw her running across the parking lot. I just texted us where you wanted to. I knew I should have drawn those blinds. So, the mayor's report technically is supposed to be, events attended, and like I said, since Benno's slogan was "I go there," I do go there, and therefore, since I go to Benno's, I have a proclamation for those of you that probably know. On Sunday at a la carte it was Benno's Bar and Grill last day after 41 years in our community. And I want to just read this to congratulate Marty and Susie and their entire staff on all that they've done for the greater community over these past 41 years. And I am going to read this because there's a lot of good information in here. They have served the West Dallas community for 41 wonderful years as a much-beloved, family-owned and operated business. And whereas the Milwaukee area's original craft beer specialists have always said they were doing craft beer before it was cool, since November of 1980, Benno Sr., Monica, Marty, Suzanne, Benno Jr., Suzanne, and Benno staff have run a superb local business, initially starting with 12 beers on draft. They were pioneers in the craft beer movement. And whereas in 1989 they moved to 73rd, from 73rd and National to their final location at 74th and Greenfield, and expanded to 30 draft beers, an especially large selection of microbrews with a focus on American craft beer. Whereas Marty and his wife Suzanne from 1991 on operated Benno's while raising their family above the restaurant, integrating themselves greatly into the West Dallas community. And whereas Benno's, known for their superb Friday night fish fry, the Benno burger, the super taco, and their eventual 40 beer selections on tap with selected bottles, growlers, and an infamous, rather large beer flight. And whereas Marty brought a valuable firsthand account of small business affairs to the council as a 2nd District alderperson in West Dallas as he continues this service, whereas the larger West Dallas community, including many longtime customers, would like to thank Benno's Genuine Bar and Grill and the Weigel family for all their establishment has brought to our community. Therefore, may it be known that I, Dan Devine, Mayor of the City of West Dallas, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, June 7th, 2022, as Benno's Genuine Bar and Grill Day in the City of West Dallas.
I just want to say that I've gotten so much out of being in West Dallas, coming here as a businessman in 1980, and gotten way more than I've given. It's been a great place to live, work, and play, and raise a family. I know many of you know our children. Our 4 kids excelled here in school and are doing well out on their own. I'm really overwhelmed with this. I didn't expect this at all. I was actually thinking I might say a couple words during Alderman's remarks, but I want to thank the community for the support that we've had all these years. A lot of people are asking what's going on. Susie and I are doing everything we can to buy our next house here in the 2nd District in West Dallas, because I really endeavor to serve out my term and continue as alderman for the next 2 years. So if you know a nice 3-bedroom, 2-bath in the 2nd District, give me a call. But yeah, thank you very much to everyone. This means a lot. It's completely unexpected. So thank you.
Thank you.
I just knew you were going to see her sprinting across the parking lot.
Those drapes are usually closed.
She was on her bike.
Mayor, can I say something about Alderman?
Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to ask him, if you look for a place, you can come down on KK Parkway, on the east side.
Will there be a vacancy in the aldermanic district over there when I move over? Or is there something going on? Are you feeling okay, Vince? You okay? Is not a health issue going on or anything?
Thank you.
So I'll just conclude the mayor's report since I started it. I had a few things I wanted to touch on. One was Benno's, obviously, and that, as like I said, his last day was Sunday for the a la carte festival. So I want to take a moment to thank everybody that put together the a la carte festival, the city departments that helped, the community, the downtown bid did a wonderful job. I was told they were guessing 14,000 attendees. It was so good to have this back after missing it for 2 years. So I just want to thank everybody for that.
It was the best ever.
Good to hear. I also wanted to thank Festival Foods and Pick and Save on Highway 100 for hosting the Youth Commission a couple weekends ago for their supply drive for the Street Angels here in West Dallas. The Street Angels are doing a Hygiene 500 event to collect hygiene products for the homeless population in our area. and the youth commissioners set up. And I also want to thank Pastor Kathy Manthai from Apostle Presbyterian, as well as wish her a happy birthday today, because she delivered pizzas to the students that were volunteering at the two stores. And she even went through the extra hoops to accommodate a vegan youth commissioner and found a vegan pizza to be delivered to Festival Foods for one of our commissioners. I do want to take a minute to once again congratulate and recognize all of the promotions last night. The West Allis Police Department had their ceremony here in the council chambers. I know Alderman Haas and Rote and Ranke were here as well, and Judge Murphy. And I just want to take a minute to congratulate all of the members of the department that received promotions. And I wanted to thank all of those that received awards for superior performance, as well as the residents in our community that received awards for assisting the police department. And then lastly, I just want to touch base on last Monday's Memorial Day ceremony and also thank everybody who was involved in taking part in that, including the Tanner Paul post. I went up to do my remarks, and I said the shout out for Alderman Haas, Alderman Rote, Alderman Weigel, Judge Murphy, County Supervisor Peter Bergelis was there. And I went up and gave my remarks, and I sat down and looked right out in the front row was Alderwoman Ranke, who I totally forgot to mention. So I told her that I would, I apologized to her because I sat down and my first words were like, oh, shoot, because I totally forgot to mention her, and she was right in the front row. But it was a really nice ceremony, and it was, it was a somber day for obvious reasons, but it was very memorable, and I want to thank everybody that made that happen as well. So that concludes my mayor's report. If I could get us back on track now and go to item E, with just citizen participation. This is when the council can receive information from members of the public on matters of interest to them. We ask that you limit your comments to one statement of no more than 5 minutes. Does anybody wish to address the council under citizen participation this evening? I bored you all to sleep with my mayor's report. Okay. Then we'll move on to item F, which is our standing committees. Those will be meeting during recess. The room numbers are listed on the top of page 2 of your agendas. And I already had done the mayor's report, so we will go to item H. Are there any reports from the alderpersons this evening?
Mayor Devine?
Alderman Weigel.
Just a reminder, I know for everybody that would normally be tuning in 2 weeks from tonight for a council meeting, we have something much more exciting going on in 2 weeks. That's the Tour of America's Dairyland race. It's the West Allis Cheese Wheel Classic. That is actually a road bike race in the neighborhood around Beecher Street, 68th, 71st, and Rogers over there. The start and finish will be by the shops on Beecher. That is road bicycle racing all day long on Tuesday, June 21st. That's the longest day. It's actually about 10 different races, so it's 10 different starts and finishes all day long. There will be impacts for the neighbors over there. We mailed everybody. We've been doing door tags. Everybody's invited. It's free. It's going to be much more exciting than coming here for a council meeting. I believe that council meeting has been rescheduled for the next day, if I recall. So everyone's invited to the first ever Tour of America's Dairyland bicycle race here in West Allis. Thanks.
We moved the council back a week.
A week?
Yeah, not a day. Just so no one shows up here on that Wednesday wondering where everybody is.
Well, I was coming Thursday.
Any other alderpersons' reports? Okay.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move for approval of the minutes of May 17th, 2022.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any changes to the minutes? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? The ayes have it. The motion carries. The minutes are approved. Moving on to item J.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I believe the clerk has some additions or corrections to make on the consent agenda.
Yes.
For item number 7, the count number should be 354-6053-523.31-02. And for item 14, there's 2 alcohol licenses which they applied for the incorrect license. So the Wisconsin Athletic Club on page 6 should be a Class B Tavern, not Class A beer and liquor. And then on page 4, West Allis Liquor and Tobacco should be a Class A beer and liquor, not a Class A beer.
Thank you. If there's no objection from any member of the council, I would then move that the consent agenda be adopted as printed.
I'll second it.
Okay. Any discussion? Hearing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Alderperson Rote.
Aye.
Stefanski.
Aye.
Tenorio.
Aye.
Vitale.
Aye.
Weigel.
Aye.
Grisham.
Aye.
Haas.
Aye.
Lysick.
Aye.
Ranky.
Aye.
9 in favor, 1 excused.
Motion carries.
Mayor Devine,
Alderman Lysick.
I move that we stand in recess until conclusion of the committee meeting.
Second.
Here's a motion with a second going to Alderperson Ranky this time by a hair. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are in recess.